Not their job to break up a fight between two grown men.
What to do when conflict on the ice goes beyond the players. Plus, budget discussions in Essex. The cost to repair and light the town's holiday snowflakes.
It's a popular complaint this time of year that, the snowflakes are out and we need to fix it.
And failing grade in physical activity.
The levels of physical activity that we're doing isn't enough.
A new report shows Canadians are falling behind.
CTV News with Stefanie Masotti.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us on CTV Windsor and AM 800. Video of a post-game fight between two minor hockey coaches is still making the rounds and raising questions. Tonight, CTV's Bob Belichico looks into how the referees reacted and the pressures that refs face when adults lose control.
Not their job to break up a fight between two grown men.
Young referees were caught in the middle of this dust-up between two hockey coaches following a U13 game this past weekend.
I hope they continue to referee, because sometimes stuff like this, especially if you're a really young referee, says, I quit. This is too much. They'll learn by it.
Our focus from the referee side is to keep the game fair and safe for the kids. What happens with the adults is unfortunate, but a little bit outside of our scope of influence.
The game took place at the Atlas Tube Recreation Center in Lakeshore between the Bell River Canadians and the Riverside Rangers. The OMHA suspended all coaches from both teams indefinitely.
I firmly believe that the coach had an opportunity to say, no, I'm not going to say that. And he chose to, and he has to live with the repercussions.
Would signs help? Here are a couple of signs from local arenas warning everyone cameras are watching over the facility, but no visible signage at those rinks encouraging parents, players, and coaches to respect the game and each other. The City of Windsor has signs ready to deploy in the next little while.
We will be posting those on our indoor facilities and our outdoor fields, and it will outline what our expectations are from spectators. And I would argue that coaches and players are held to an even higher standard.
That standard is set in Lakeshore. This sign is found in locker rooms as a reminder.
Everyone can learn from this, but if it continues to happen, then we have to look at ourselves and say, okay, why is this continually happening? Maybe they make a rule that says coaches shake hands before the games.
Bob Belichico, CTV News.
Windsor police found a loaded handgun and spent casings under the driver's seat during a traffic stop early Thursday morning. Officers stopped a vehicle traveling at a high rate of speed and without rear lights near Ulmer and Riverside Drive East. The officer discovered the driver's license was suspended and found the loaded weapon, shells, and additional ammunition, including 3 .32 caliber rimfire cartridges and 2 spent cartridges. 22-year-old Matteo Piro Monaglia is facing multiple charges. Anyone with information is asked to call the Windsor Police Service or Crime Stoppers. A 25-year-old Wallaceburg man has been arrested for child sexual abuse after police found he was communicating with multiple people under the age of 16 and had exploitation material on his electronic devices. Chatham-Kent police were made aware in September that a man was sharing exploitation material on social media platforms like Snapchat and Dropbox. Officers searched the man's residence and seized several electronic devices. The man was arrested on November 19th and is being held pending a bail hearing. Staying in Chatham now, police say they believe there are more than 100 victims of a single person charged with voyeurism, indecent acts, and harassment. 33-year-old Brent Coney from Chatham-Kent was arrested on October 15th, and the investigation remains ongoing. Police released his photo, believing he may have targeted more victims, primarily in retail stores in Windsor, Chatham-Kent, and London. Officers say all identified victims so far are women. The incidents occurring between September and October and may have involved recording devices. A decommissioned grenade donated to a Value Village in Chatham-Kent sparked a brief scare yesterday. An expert warns that these finds are actually not uncommon. Family members of veterans sometimes uncover decades old, and they didn't know that they were even out there. So CTV's Sanjay Mara joining us to talk about safety on this tonight. Sanjay.
Yeah, Stephanie, one military historian I spoke with today says oftentimes former military members from World War I or II, they keep a souvenir, and then later, as families sort through their loved ones' belongings, artifacts like old grenades or shells may resurface.
Here we've got like a mortar shell that had been donated.
Hard to believe something as volatile as this could have fallen out of a vehicle, but that's exactly what happened just over a year and a half ago, prompting OPP to shut down a roadway in Leamington.
It could have been just transporting as somebody's cleaning out an old family member's residence. A lot of times that's how they're discovered.
Just this week, police in Chatham were called when a Value Village store received a donation later identified as a historical grenade dating back to the Second World War. The store was evacuated as a precaution.
A lot of veterans around the world, they were bringing back little souvenirs from the war. When they got home, they just left it in the loft or in a shed. Never thought anything more about it. They've obviously sadly passed away, and now obviously the next of kin are finding the actual ordnance.
That's believed to be what happened in 2018 when an 11-year-old boy living on Gladstone Avenue in Windsor came across a decommissioned grenade after moving a filing cabinet. 1 year prior, a citizen alerted police to an alley on Peary Avenue after finding what turned out to be a diffused grenade. And in March of 2020, a couple from Wallaceburg were magnet fishing on the Thames River when they pulled up a grenade with the pin still intact.
Regardless of how you come across it, we recommend not touching it, backing out of the area where you are, and call 911 immediately.
At the Kingsville Military Museum, everything on display comes from the community, meaning it's exactly the kind of place where decommissioned grenades, shells, or military artifacts can be brought in. That's, of course, after police confirm they're not dangerous.
Once you polish this up, it'll be like really shiny brass, and it makes an ideal doorstop. But obviously on this occasion, everything's been emptied out and it's all been cleared and is safe for display in the museum.
And this is not just a Canadian issue. According to Byron Lazarus, who you saw there from the Kingsville Military Museum, military crews in France, they still dig up live World War I shells every single week more than a century later. And experts say it's a reminder these devices can surface long after a conflict ends. So again, if you find something that even resembles an explosive, call police and let them handle it.
So it could be dangerous, but so interesting.
Yeah, it's a lot of history when you see it, but definitely dangerous. So again, just stay away from it.
Okay, CTV's Sanjay Mara, thank you for this tonight.
Thank you.
Meteorologist Gary Archibald joining us now for a full look at the forecast. And Gary, the weekend is going to be gorgeous.
Weekend looks good. Ridge of high pressure building, which means we'll see a nice clearing. Lots of sunshine across southern Ontario. Meanwhile, the disturbances south of Lake Erie, for the most part, stay there. That's rain. And to the north of us, that's snow and even a bit of a mixture of rain, flurries, and freezing rain cutting through Georgian Bay. Temperature's going to take a nosedive tonight through tomorrow morning pre-dawn, but will warm up and might be a couple of degrees above seasonal. I'll break down what you need to know. The entire weather story is coming up.
A labor dispute at the John McGivney Children's Center is officially in the rear view. A tentative deal has now been fully ratified. The deal reached between the center and OPSU Local 170 last week, ending a dispute that had some families worried about service disruptions. Frustrations over the new oversized recycling blue bins may be coming to an end. In a statement to CTV News, the CEO of the recycling provider, Circular Materials, says we are reviewing options for a smaller sized recycling cart that meets residents' needs. The statement comes a day after the mayor of Aurora said the fight over blue bin size in North York had finally tipped in residents' favor. People will be able to swap out the large 95-gallon recycling bin for a smaller option. Local officials, Windsor Mayor Drew Dilkins and Windsor-Tecumseh MPP Andrew Dowie, say the news is encouraging and are hopeful that residents here will be provided with the same opportunity.
Some just can't manage the size of the bin. It needs to be recognized that not everyone's as tall as I am, and as young as, middle-aged as I am, that there are some folks who just can't possibly manage it. And so it's right for them to reflect on that and find a pathway to help encourage people to recycle.
A city council member is frustrated over limited options to address panhandling at intersections. A report going to Monday's board meeting looked at people standing on medians along city streets after council requested infrastructure-related strategies to discourage unsafe behaviors. The report says medians are essential for safety and cannot be removed to deter panhandling. Instead, the Safe Streets Act and a recent court ruling prohibits soliciting drivers except for registered charities. Ward 4 Councillor Mark McKenzie says panhandling at intersections is a frequent complaint, and he's disappointed the report doesn't offer more solutions. The town of Essex is taking a closer look at the cost of repairing its holiday snowflake decorations, just as councillors prepare to receive details on next year's municipal budget. Let's go straight to CTV's Chris Campbell for this. Chris.
Yes, Stefanie, the decorative snowflakes in Harrow and Essex Centre aren't new, some over a decade old. Residents love the tradition, but Mayor Sherry Bondi wants to check the cost of keeping them shining. Dozens of snowflake fixtures hang in urban centres across the town of Essex, some dating back to 2013.
A couple days ago, we had 13 Christmas snowflakes out in Essex Ward 1, 7 snowflakes out in Harrow.
Mayor Sherry Bondi says she wants firm numbers on what it costs for staff to repair the displays each year.
It's a popular complaint this time of year that, the snowflakes are out and we need to fix it. I just want everybody to know it's on our radar.
Bondi calls it the Snowflake File, a data project she says will help determine whether repairs are cost effective or if a different avenue of funding is needed.
And then for the 2027 budget, we can look and see, is this something council wants to spend money on, or is it something we can go to the community and say, hey, we have a naming rights policy. We want, you want to name a snowflake. Is that snowflake yours? Make a donation and we'll give you a snowflake.
You go through any other towns and they've got them on and stuff like that. So why can't we afford it?
One longtime resident who helped bring Christmas lights to Harrow more than 40 years ago says the snowflakes are part of the town's holiday identity and agrees keeping track of costs is a smart move.
There are a few that are not on, but they're supposed to look at them and fix them up. So that would be good. But yeah, it's a good idea.
Other residents tell CTV News the decorations brighten up the community and say they support the town reviewing what it spends each year.
When you go through the town, it's pretty sharp looking, but I mean, when it comes to money, that's I'm kind of like to watch that too a bit. I mean, I'm for that, watching when the money goes.
Yeah. That's understandable. We pay taxes.
Council is expected to discuss the snowflake review at an upcoming meeting. At the same time, it hears the first financial pressures tied to the 2026 budget. The draft budget was released to Council today, followed by a full presentation next week. Deliberations are set for December 8th and 9th.
We're looking at how can we save $1,000 here, $500 here. With a small municipality like the town of Essex, cost savings like that all add up.
Bondi says the goal is simple. Make sure small items aren't quietly draining the operating budget. Stefanie, Bondi says some elected officials have mentioned wanting a 0% increase, but that is unrealistic.
Okay, we'll have to wait and see on that. Chris Campbell tonight. Thank you for that, Chris. And more than half of Canadian adults aren't getting enough exercise, earning a C- on the latest report card from Participation. As CTV's Bob Belichico reports, experts say movement is becoming something we schedule instead of something we do naturally.
It's not actually all that much time.
But according to the latest report from Participation, Canadians are having a hard time meeting the physical activity guidelines. Sarah Woodruff, the Associate Dean of Human Kinetics at the University of Windsor, has read the report and noticed activity levels have remained relatively stagnant over the past 4 years.
We're not doing more physical activity, but we're also not doing less. The problem with that is that the levels of physical activity that we're doing isn't enough.
According to the report, Canadian adults earned a C-. Many agree technology has had an impact.
We can now order our groceries online. We can get food delivered to our house. So we don't even have to do that small incremental movements, to do some of the basics of life anymore.
The report says only 32% of adults meet the recommended 7,500 steps a day. Also pointed out in the report, physical inactivity is costing the Canadian healthcare system $3.9 billion annually. Researchers estimate $1 billion a year could be saved in healthcare, employee absenteeism, and chronic disease management costs if a 15% increase in physical activity were achieved. So the guideline recommends 150 minutes of physical activity during the week. That could be walking, that could be through sport. I don't know about you, but I'm not counting every second that I'm walking during the day, and I'm definitely not tracking the time I spend on the floor playing floor hockey and basketball. 150 minutes? Sure.
I think the first thing for people to do to get to 150 minutes is forget about it being 150 minutes. I always like to break things down, make it smaller.
Tony Smith, owner of Garage Gym, says taking breaks during the workday is good, so is playing with kids.
But having the dogs, too, they're a great incentive to just, get out there and get some fresh air. I think that's part of the exercise that makes you feel good.
Weight loss may be a part of increased physical activity.
Losing weight and looking good and fitting into pants is awesome, but it's more about the strength and what I can do, like my abilities now.
Some of these students were led by example.
Yeah, my dad does a lot. He used to play soccer and do track when he was younger, so that rubbed off on me too. That's why I do it.
Bob Belichico, CTV News.
So here is our question of the day. Do you think you get more or less than 150 minutes of moderate to vigorous physical activity per week? Go to our website to cast your vote, ctvnewswindsor.ca. Yesterday, we asked if you're worried about local school boards being taken over by the province. Out of almost 600 votes, 66% say no, they are not worried. Students hurt in a terrifying grizzly bear attack. Still ahead on Windsor's News Leader, what happened on that Riverside Trail during a school outing. The holiday train rolls into town on Saturday. Lights, music, and a big crowd expected. How to catch the magic when we return. And Monday, homelessness, addiction, public safety, and recycling crackdowns. Windsor City Council faces a packed agenda. That's Monday at 6 on CTV News. A group of students attacked by a grizzly bear on a school outing. Several people are hospitalized, including 2 in critical condition. CTV's Scott Hurst has more on the heroism as teachers fought back.
It is a terrifying attack that has left a small BC community on edge. A grizzly bear attack injuring multiple students and at least 1 teacher. Of the 4 injured in the bear attack, 3 are children, 1 is an adult. Another 7 people were cared for at the scene. At the time of the attack, the students and the teachers, approximately 20 of them, were having lunch along a trail by the river in the remote community on BC's central coast when the grizzly apparently emerged from the forest and attacked. What prompted the bear to charge the group is not yet known at this time. According to the BC Conservation Officer Service, multiple teachers intervened. They used pepper spray and a bear banger to stop the attack and get the grizzly away from the students. The injured were initially treated in the community, but are being transported to Vancouver for further care. A spokesperson for the local school district told CTV News the attack involved an independent school run by the Newhawk First Nation. Conservation officers tried to locate the grizzly overnight, but no luck in tracking it down as of yet. Preliminary information suggests the bear may have been previously injured. Efforts to capture and assess the bear are continuing today.
Captured mitigation techniques have been set to capture and evaluate the bear in question. We recognize this incident is distressing for the community. We are in close contact with the Newhawk Nation as our investigation continues.
Today in the community, the school is closed, but the district says it is doing what it can to provide support and counseling services. The public is being asked to avoid the area surrounding the incident and remain indoors until further notice. Scott Hurst, CTV News, Toronto.
Convicted of first-degree murder and the deaths of 2 people, Ontario's serial killer Dylan Millard has been moved from maximum security to a medium security facility. CTV's John Benavali Rao now on the outrage surrounding Millard's transfer.
Dylan Millard is one of the country's most notorious killers who murdered not only his girlfriend, Laura Babcock, but also his own father and Tim Bosma, a complete stranger who was selling a pickup truck. After first being convicted almost a decade ago, Millard's been kept in a maximum security jail. But now Bosma's family say they've been notified he's been moved to medium security. In a statement, the family wrote, "We are disgusted by the news," calling Millard a psychopath monster, and writing Corrections Canada disregarded the feedback provided by our families in response to the possibility of such a move. They went on to say it's an abhorrent transgression, offending all manner of common sense.
Medium security does mean you have greater ability to interact with other prisoners. You have greater ability to engage in correctional programs, but it's no cakewalk, right? It's not like going to day camp.
Experts say it is understandable that the families of the victims would be upset, but say an eventual move to medium security is typical in a system designed with the idea that inmates may eventually be released. There was national outrage 2 years ago over a similar transfer involving serial killer Paul Bernardo. In a statement, the Correctional Service wrote, "We engage with victims at various points of an offender's sentence and provide them with opportunities to voice their concerns, which are considered. Adding, in all our decisions, public safety remains our paramount consideration." Experts say whether a prisoner remains in maximum or medium security is largely dictated by the risk they pose to other inmates and the public, and not the crimes they committed.
They're still locked up and safe from the community and not likely to escape.
As for Millard, corrections officials say he will be eligible to apply for day parole in 2036 and full parole in 2039. John Benavali Rao, CTV News, Toronto.
The Prime Minister has begun the next leg of his international trip, arriving in South Africa for the G20 summit. This follows his visit to the United Arab Emirates, where he secured $70 billion for Canada's energy, AI, and mining sectors. Here's CTV's Rachel Aiello.
Over the next year, we will take significant measures to elevate our relationship.
Speaking to a crowd of Emirati and Canadian business leaders, the Prime Minister said his government is ready to start reaping the benefits of a strengthened economic and diplomatic relationship between the two countries.
On the surface, to the uninitiated, Canada and the UAE can appear as different as snow and sand. Yet we're deeply, deeply aligned. At our core, we're both trading nations.
At the Canada-UAE Business Council Summit, Mark Carney highlighted how both nations are in a position to lead the global clean energy transition and announced the start of a new agreement valued at more than $1 billion to expand critical mineral processing capacity in Canada.
This is a new chapter in our relationship, a new chapter in our partnership.
Delegations of big funders from both nations will also be exchanging visits next year. Trips made easier by Canada and the UAE confirming more direct commercial flights are coming. With the Canada-US trade war waging on, the political stakes are high for Carney to deliver on diversifying Canada's economy quickly.
This is really important to AI infrastructure build out, data centers, mining projects, infrastructure, everything that Canada wants to build will need a large amount of money, and the UAE is a good starting point for that.
Briefly speaking with reporters here before his speech, Carney said he wants that new trade deal wrapped up within a year. He also confirmed that he did raise Canada's concerns about the issue in Sudan with the UAE president directly. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Abu Dhabi.
A deer cull is set to close Rondo Provincial Park for 2 days. Ontario Parks says the park will close for, again, 2 days this weekend as staff and members of Delaware Nation carry out a controlled deer cull. The park will reopen Monday at 8:30 in the morning. Herd reduction is part of ongoing efforts to manage ecological impacts caused by overpopulation of deer. The ministry says public safety is the top priority. All access points to the park will be monitored and no public entry will be allowed while the cull is underway. The CPKC holiday train is making stops in Chatham and Windsor tomorrow.
It's that time of year again. The CPKC Holiday Train is back.
The train travels across Canada and the U.S., raising money in support for local food banks. The event includes a musical performance, and this year, early 2000s rock band Smash Mouth will be on stage along with Kitchener's J.J. Wild. The train stops in Chatham at the Holiday Inn and Convention Centre at 1:45, then travels to Windsor for another performance at 5 p.m. at the CP Rail Yard at Erie and Jeanette. Organizers say since it started in 1999, the holiday train has raised more than $26 million for local food banks and brought in 5.5 million pounds of food. Canada's main stock index closed higher on broad-based gains. The TSX rose over 250 points. In New York, the Dow was up almost 500. The Nasdaq gained close to 200. The dollar was off 1/10 of a cent. Gold jumped $19.50 an ounce, and oil was down 94 cents a barrel. Sky-high grocery bills are changing buying habits and some loyalties. When we return, the choice: buy local or buy cheaper.
Let's take a look at our CTV News weather snapshot. Thanks to Tammy Lucas for this gorgeous image. Just ahead, will sunshine rule the weekend with warmer than seasonal temperatures? We'll find out next on CTV News Windsor.
A nice day out there. More sunshine in the forecast. Gary joins me again for an extended look. Gary.
It looks like the weekend is setting up to be sunny and slightly above seasonal. Nice combination of factors. Today was mild, relatively speaking, right across much of southern Ontario proper. Cloudy, yes, but some peaks of sunshine. Reached a high almost 11 degrees Celsius. Our average on the 21st of November is 7. And by the way, the lows now average just under the freezing mark. So watch out for frosty early mornings pre-dawn in particular. Air quality was good today for the most part at a 3 on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 degrees at the airport, holding at 50 degrees Fahrenheit in Windsor. A degree cooler in Chatham-Kent at 9 or 48. The national temperatures were in single digits across parts of the Maritimes, Atlantic Canada, southern Quebec, throughout Ontario. And for the prairies, Alberta is warming up. One of the warmer spots in Calgary, still holding at 10 degrees Celsius. Lots of rain south of, I'd say, Lake Michigan and Lake Erie, and most of it stays there. That's the good news part of this story for tonight. Will still be cloudy, and if we do see any rain at all, I think our friends on beautiful Pelee Island might see it. But for the most part, we'll get into a nice clearing for early tomorrow morning and holding on to that clearing with lots of sunshine anticipated, mostly sunny in fact, for both Saturday and Sunday. And again, temperatures about 1 to 2 degrees above season. As you can see, shades of green lie on the south shores and further south of Lake Erie. Okay, so here's the breakdown for tonight. We are going to cool off, partly cloudy, if not mostly cloudy, through 8, 10, and by midnight. Over that progression, we'll go from 4 to 3 to 2 degrees Celsius, and I think the overnight low, technically the lowest temperature before tomorrow morning, pre-dawn will be about -1 or -2, feeling like about -5. Take a look at our Enercare 7-day forecast. Thanks to our good friends there. Sunny for both days. 8 followed by 9 degrees the high. Then Monday, fair weather, mixture of sun and cloud, 9. And then 11, 3, 1, and -1. A huge dip after Tuesday. And we could see highs in the minuses. The cold air is on its way the middle of next week.
Lifetime, brought to you by Safeguard Medical Alert Systems.
Breast Cancer Canada has released its 2025 annual progress report. The report highlights advances in treatment, screening, and policy, while also identifying gaps in access to care across the country. The organization says 7 new breast cancer therapies were approved in the past year, but getting from the approval phase to access still takes over a year on average. Breast Cancer Canada also says the current federation recommendation to begin screening at age 50 for average risk women should be lowered to 40 nationwide, as Ontario and some other provinces have done. Canadians are continuing to feel the pinch at the grocery store, even with counter tariffs recently lifted. Despite the move, many shoppers say they will continue to buy Canadian, even if it means paying more. CTV's Dave Charbonneau reports.
As the cost of groceries remains high, many shoppers are changing buying habits. The Buy Canadian campaign is waning.
You can't completely eliminate all American stuff, right?
Now that Canada has lifted reciprocal tariffs on the U.S., Loblaw CEO says shoppers are searching for the best discounts, no matter the origin. Prices on direct imported products from the U.S. have gone down to normal. And of course, we are seeing some customers who are going back to those products that they love now that they are much cheaper than they were.
I think it's coming down to cost for me. There's a lot of it. Yeah. So I'm probably, I'm paying less attention to it. Yeah. Okay. Overall. Yeah. Okay. I mean, we gotta like save our dollars, right? It's like the price of stuff is crazy.
It's about cost as well. So when stuff is cheaper, I'll go with the cheaper option.
Experts say the season also plays a role.
Lots of times that patriotism is blended with affordability. So as Canada ends into the off season for growing, and we start to rely more heavily on imports, the ability to choose Canadian isn't always as prevalent as it would be in the growing season.
Well, at this time of year, you have really no choice in terms of fresh vegetable and fruit to buy outside of Canada. So, and that probably means through the United States.
For others, Buy Canadian still sends a strong message.
Are you boycotting American products 100%?
100%.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What if there's something that doesn't exist in the Canadian version?
I don't buy it.
Are you still boycotting the American stuff when you can?
Not necessarily boycotting them purpose. I don't go out of my way necessarily. But if I can purchase Canadian, I'll do that.
For many, buying Canadian remains a priority, even with higher prices.
What if you have two products side by side and the American one's cheaper?
We buy the Canadian one.
You still pay more?
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, it's our local businesses. It's our folks that are working hard to do things. And, I try not to buy American, preferably.
Food import prices are also expected to drop even more in Canada soon due to President Trump's decision to reduce tariffs on basic food staples. Dave Charbonneau, CTV News.
Canadians are expected to take full advantage of Black Friday sales this year. A holiday shopping survey by Retail Council of Canada and Leisure finds most people plan to spend $975 this year on the holidays. 84% of respondents say Black Friday is their most important shopping day, and more than half start researching 1 to 3 weeks in advance. 85% wait for sales, and 80% compare prices online before making a purchase. Alberta's long-pushed pipeline could be closer than ever, and Ottawa may be ready to help. The political deal taking shape next. New details are emerging about potential plans for a new oil pipeline, which Alberta's government has been pushing for. CTV's Annie Bergeron-Oliver has more on what could be in the deal and the challenges it will likely face.
The oil pipeline Alberta Premier Danielle Smith has been pushing for could soon be one step closer to reality.
We know that we've got a little bit more work to do on the technical side to be able to submit our pipeline proposal for consideration to the Major Projects Office. We've targeted the spring on that.
And when that happens, Ottawa is likely to be on board. Sources say a memorandum of understanding between the Premier and the Prime Minister is coming down the pipeline. As part of that deal, sources say Ottawa is considering easing a BC North Coast tanker ban, lowering or removing the emissions cap, and strengthening the industrial carbon tax to bolster carbon capture.
An MOU can be directionally, we would like to do this, and it can help
thaw the ice on other issues like the emissions cap, but I'm not sure that anybody should bet on a pipeline happening anytime soon.
Many First Nations and BC's premier hope a new pipeline never gets built. If Ottawa makes changes to the tanker ban as part of this deal to make it happen, David Eby fears major energy projects underway in his province could get scrapped.
For them to be able to go ahead, we need the support of coastal First Nations. It is fragile. They are not enthusiastic about these projects, but they're willing to tolerate them in exchange for protecting the coast from a heavy oil spill.
Ottawa says it wants BC's backing, but also has suggested it doesn't need it.
BC will be consulted, but BC doesn't get a veto because, as I've said, jurisdictionally, a pipeline that crosses more than one province is in the federal bailiwick.
The energy minister says talks with Alberta are constructive and that Ottawa will have more to say in a few weeks. Annie Bergeron-Oliver, CTV News.
For Christmas tree growers, this is usually the most wonderful time of the year, but trade uncertainty with the U.S. appears to be driving down sales this holiday season. CTV's Paul Hollingsworth has more.
For Christmas tree growers, this is always the busiest time of the year. Freshly cut trees are sold and shipped in time for December 25th. However, there are warning signs the industry could have a tough December.
The business is going to take a huge hit.
Colin Hughes ships more than 150,000 trees across Canada and around the world. His usual exports to the U.S. are down roughly 50% this year.
Down the eastern seaboard especially, there's I would say a nervousness.
According to Hughes, the trade war between Canada and the U.S. has pushed customers away from purchasing his trees.
General census that I was getting, in fact, some of them said, like, we can buy $300,000 worth of trees from you, which is great, but if a tariff comes on to them the last minute, it costs us an extra $50,000 in tariff, that's our profit.
The Christmas tree industry represents big business in Nova Scotia, generating more than $50 million in revenue while supporting thousands of jobs. University professor Dan Shaw says American customers are likely managing risk during a time of economic uncertainty.
People act not necessarily always on data, but on perception, and having instability of those relationships impacts people's purchasing decisions.
Colin Hughes says a drop in Christmas tree sales to the U.S. will impact his bottom line, but there is possibly some good news. If fewer trees are sold in the U.S., more trees could be available for sale here in Canada.
Orders are down this year, so there should be a surplus of trees locally.
Hughes hopes tree prices in Canada will stay the same as last year, with a greater variety for shoppers to choose from, which could help boost his business. Paul Hollingsworth, CTV News, New Ross, Nova Scotia.
Cancer for a Cause is back for its 22nd year.
Join us as we broadcast live from Devonshire Mall.
We'll be collecting cash and non-perishable food items for the Society of St. Vincent de Paul.
We need your help, generosity, and goodwill.
Visit us online for more information.
This is your CTV Windsor, our community calendar. The In Honor of the Ones We Love annual Potato Fest returns Monday, December 1st at their new location, the Chichero Club. Join us and support local cancer patients. See you next time on Our Community.
It's time to check in on what's happening now with Melanie Kettner. And Melanie, you have more information on a holiday tradition that's happening in Chatham-Kent.
Yeah, that's right, Stephanie. So this is the 6th year that the gift is collecting food, toys, and other essential items for residents in need. Hand-painted signs by residents of all ages can be seen across Chatham-Kent as reminders of the annual drive. Organizers ask residents to leave non-perishable food items, hygiene products, new toys, and other essentials outside their doorsteps before noon on Saturday. Volunteers will collect everything, then distribute it to families and individuals and agencies. Officials say each different community decides how to serve their residents best. We've got more details online at ctvnewswindsor.ca.
And Melanie, we also have a story about a local philanthropist.
Yes, we do. The Windsor Regional Hospital Foundation is renaming its planned giving program. It will now be called the John Thomas Fancy Legacy Society. Fancy left $40 million in his will for the new acute care hospital. His sister Terry says he hoped the gift would inspire others to create their own lasting impact. You can read more about the program online. And in our social spotlight, one of our viewers sent us a video of how her son is getting into the holiday spirit. First-year university student Giuliano decided to spread Christmas cheer this year by decorating his car with over 1,600 Christmas lights. His mom says it took him over 6 hours, but he did it because he loved Christmas and it looks cool. This is great when parked in a driveway or in a parade, but check the Highway Traffic Act for the law if you're considering doing this, Stephanie.
He did an amazing job. I feel like everything's very symmetrical. Doesn't it put a smile on your face?
Yeah, it must have taken a lot of work.
Yeah, and I feel like some of the best video segments we have, for this segment is from our viewers at home. So if you guys do have more videos at home you want to send us, how can they do it?
Absolutely. So they can send it to us at newsnow@bellmedia.ca or text it to 10400.
Okay, and that's what's happening now. Thank you, Melanie. From this ordinary house comes one of the world's top sources of Elvis-style fame. The reveal right after the break. Still gloomy out there, but it's going to be a gorgeous weekend.
Yes, sunshine, and I think temperatures are going to be slightly above seasonal, Stephanie. So some good news as we look ahead the next 7 days. Highs and lows you see there, predominant conditions with the icons. And note the temperatures. Average temperature today is 7 degrees. Again, those numbers are bit by bit getting lower and lower as we get deeper into the fall season. Sunny for the next 2 days, fair on Monday, and then although Tuesday's mild, there's going to be some rain up to 11 degrees. By Wednesday, we're down to 3, might see 1, and then -2. A week from now, the high, -2. I'm sure people will be most agreeable with that.
We are going to suit up head to toe in winter gear. Okay. Thank you, Gary.
Right.
Travis, school can be stressful for both parents and students, especially when it comes to testing.
Yeah, and there's probably a lot of parents out there who are still waiting for the EQAO test results. We have a story tonight about the delay. Tonight, Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris is looking into the education minister's excuse as to why he's holding back these scores. He says he's digging into them, which critics say is anything but transparent. We will have that story for you tonight at 11.
Okay, thank you so much, Travis. Also, we leave our viewers tonight about a BC company who is taking care of business for those looking to channel their inner Elvis. As CTV's Andrew Johnson shows us, they are creating costumes for people stepping into the blue suede shoes of the king of rock and roll.
Inside a modest Nanaimo, BC home, you'll find one of the world's only major suppliers of a certain sort of swagger.
They're beautiful, you know. I never get tired of working on them.
Stitch by stitch, Eleanor von Bedeker and her staff recreate the signature look of one of the past century's brightest stars.
I think it's just Elvis is the full package.
I hope this suit don't tear up, baby. A big part of the Elvis Presley package is iconic 1970s jumpsuits, complete with cape. Von Bedeker, a costumer by trade, started making them for Elvis tribute artists close to 20 years ago. Now, with 8 employees, she can barely keep up with demand, shipping out 600 jumpsuits a year, each priced between $1,000 and $4,000. And her clients' average age may surprise you.
Teenagers or young adults who are just getting started.
Young performers like Jonathan Hicks, a.k.a. Johnny Elvis, who comes to Eleanor.
It's a little tight across the thighs.
To perfect his look, impersonating the man he has idolized since he was 5.
I try to really study, go on my iPad, or I watch YouTube videos of him in the 70s. It's full time, and I'm very, very blessed to showcase my talent.
Hicks makes a living channeling Elvis full time, which I discovered is harder than it looks.
You do this whole stance, microphone in.
Left hand is mic.
And you can do a shimmy, you know? Faster. Come on. Thank you. Thank you very much.
It's a labor of love for both Johnny and Eleanor, two of many keeping the legend alive close to 50 years after Presley's death.
For my darling, I love you.
Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Nanaimo, BC.
There's so many things I love about this story, but if we could dress like this, like they are, those suits, every single day, that would make me a very, very happy newscaster.
Well, Gary is a very, very fashionable guy. So, Gary, I wrote down the information.
Thank you very much, Travis.
There you go. It's only going to cost you between $1,000 and $4,000.
Well, I'm a big fan of Elvis. My mom's favorite performer. I grew up weaned on that music, so I'm a big fan. Of course, I like Elvis from 56 to about 68. After that, I just felt bad about the demise. Now, the clothing is fantastic, though.
Well, he's definitely iconic.
Yeah, even still.
On behalf of our dedicated team here at CTV News Windsor, thank you for watching.
I'm just checking over. For updates throughout the evening, go to ctvnewswindsor.ca.
Gary and I will be back with your only late local newscast at 11. We're not sure if he'll be wearing one of the suits.
Send it to me, too.
Yeah, okay. All right.